Stamps.com, which, helps you buy USPS labels. They own ShipStation. They own Shipping Easy. Any software that comes out that helps manage this shipping category, they are the owners. And if you call them up and you're like, hey, I'm interested in this software, they're like, what else are you considering? And you're like, I was considering Shipping Easy. They're like, well, that's our software too. So we're going to thank you for telling us that we can fuck you. There's a big green light that says, yes, please fuck Moiz right here. And we're going to do that now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a great acquisition. From a business perspective, I think they're probably going to make a fortune from this. From a consumer perspective or a customer perspective, I hate this.
That's how you know it's a good private equity deal. This is Limited Supply, the place for refreshingly real takes on what D2C is really like.
We're your hosts, Nik and Moiz. Let's start talking about money.
Nik, did you know that Tapcart apps have generated more than $5 billion in sales for Shopify's fastest growing brands? Everyone from Fashion Nova to Mudwater to our friend Ben at True Classic Tees. Tapcart is powering all of their apps.
I didn't realize it was that big, but it does make sense. And I love the examples that you gave because they're either high consumption or high consumable products, or it's apparel where I feel like there's a higher consideration funnel. It makes perfect sense to be using a mobile app in those cases.
Yeah, Tapcart's mobile app has a 2.3x higher conversion rate versus the mobile web. And to learn more, go to tapcart.com/limited.
Okay, Nik, what are you up to?
Oh man, I like that we just hit the record button and I have no idea what's coming next.
Well, I'm in San Francisco. I'm here for a hot second for some personal stuff, and it smells like taxes and homeless people outside.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think San Francisco might be the biggest. San Francisco is the Allbirds stock of the United States cities.
That's true in many ways. The problem is I love San Francisco. It's the most beautiful. It's such a beautiful city. Like every time I come here, I'm just stunned at how gorgeous it is. Like the bridges are amazing. The water's there. Weather's
also
great.
The hustle in San Francisco, like the Silicon Valley DNA. It's almost like a virus that you want to go there and catch and then take wherever else you go.
I don't think you can take it wherever else you go. I think that once you've got it, like as soon as you leave, you become immune to it. Like you need to be here in order to catch the SF virus. And I love that.
All right. So I'm assuming you have a Guess That Business for me.
I have a Guess That Business and a couple other things.
I have one for you as well.
A Guess That Business? Okay.
Yeah.
It would be so funny if they were the same. But, okay. Here's mine. $470 million in revenue in 2022. Okay. 130 million in COGS, and that's 28% of revenue. Okay. This is a brick and mortar store business. Okay, so 470 million in revenue, 130 million in COGS. Labor is 147 million. So labor is actually more than cost of goods sold.
Wow.
Q1 and Q4 are slow because it's cold out. 15% operating margins. 137 million in operating costs total. They lost $200 million. And there's 186 total stores. 2.9 million in sales per store per year. 6,000 employees.
Okay, so immediately I'm thinking like a summary, I don't think it's sporting goods because I don't think there's a lot of labor there. But I'm thinking like almost like a Dippin' Dots, just given that there's a lot of labor and 2.9 million per store per year. That's about 3 well-run coffee cafes equivalent of revenue.
Yeah. So 470 million total revenue, 186 stores, 36 new ones in 2022. Same store sales increase of 13% year over year, 6,000 employees. Dippin' Dots is not a bad guess. I'm not sure if Dippin' Dots would have 6,000 employees. That seems like an insane number for Dippin' Dots. But, it's not Dippin' Dots. But ask me 3 questions.
Okay. Is it a consumable product? The main product you sell?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a food or a beverage?
Yes and yes, but much more food, I would imagine. Like, I would be shocked if it wasn't 90-10. Like 90% food, 10% bev.
The thing that's throwing me off is 6,000 employees, because that means it's about a little over 30 employees per store.
That's such a good. In fact, I was like hoping that you would do that math to be like, what kind of store would have this many employees?
Yeah. Okay. What if we did? So, okay. Interesting. Average salary of 24,500. So
Yeah, a lot of the
workers.
6,000 are part-time workers. Yes.
Yeah. I'm almost thinking like 32. Is this some like suburban buffet?
Golden Corral is a golden.
Yeah,
Corral.
Boston
No,
Market type thing.
it is not. Okay, I'll give you more clues.
Okay.
There's 11 core signature items at every store. Okay, 11 core signature items on the menu all the time at every store.
Mhm.
And 5 times, they call it seasonally, but 5 times a year they rotate, they add some menu items. Okay, so it is a restaurant company, and 21% of all orders come through marketplace channels like DoorDash or Caviar.
Wow, I'm so stumped. I'm thinking like Panda Express, but that's probably way too big.
Panda Express is also, this is a publicly traded company, I didn't mention that, with a $1.1 billion market cap.
Okay.
And let me give you another example or another clue. I'm almost certain you've eaten there in the last 30 days. And it's not West Side Market.
Last 30 days. Wow, I'm so stumped.
Okay, ready for it?
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
Sweet Green.
Wow.
$1.1 billion market cap, $470 million in revenue last year, 186 stores, 20% of all orders come through DoorDash or Caviar, 11
That makes a lot of
signature
sense.
salads, 5 salads that seasonal salads that rotate in and out 5 times a year. Custom salad is their most popular. 400 million raised at their IPO a couple years ago. It's Sweet Green.
Wow. I did not see that coming at all.
Okay, yeah. Okay, hit me with yours.
Okay. This one goes into a bit of like the first segment I've got here, which is more of a PSA. But there's not a lot of information, so I'll give you a few fun ones. It's a direct-to-consumer brand,
Okay.
and they prioritize comfort, mainly around temperature regulation and things like making things stretchy and comfortable, and like you can spend a lot of time in these clothings. They have brick and mortar stores with I think their flagship one here in Soho. Every celebrity, that's like a influencer celebrity nowadays, like Gwyneth Paltrow and Jessica Alba, they've all used this product. And the founder's dad founded shop.com.
Okay. Let me ask. So you talked about first. You gave me a lot of clues, so I appreciate how easy you're making it. Except I'm still stumped. So let me ask you a couple of questions. You mentioned temperature regulation. Is this an apparel company?
Yes.
Okay. It's direct to consumer. Are most of their sales done direct to consumer or through brick and mortar stores?
Direct to consumer.
Okay, and it's about temperature regulation. It's not Arteza or like Aritzia, sorry, the one with the it's like, I would have guessed temperature. I'm sorry, you said it was apparel?
It was apparel.
It's not Jambies, although Jambies sounds like a good answer.
Jambies would be a good answer here, but
I don't think
wish
they have
their
a flagship
dads-
store in Soho.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, flagship. And how many stores do they have?
Probably less than 10.
Okay, and it's a privately held company.
Yeah.
If you had to guess how much revenue it's doing, what would you guess?
Well, at one point it was reported at 25.
25 million in revenue?
Yeah, my guess is probably closer to like sub 20, maybe sub 15.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I got to guess a smaller brand. And what, the clothing, is it women or men?
It started women's. It's probably 95% women.
Bandier? Would I guess Bandier? Is it Bandier?
No, that's close. Bandier is I think it's all women.
Yeah, okay. And then it's temperature regulation. Oh, that girl, it's not Après Ski, is it?
No. You want me to tell you?
Yes, I give up.
Okay, the brand is called Lunya. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is they were a brand like many others that are experiencing this right now, but they were a special case of a brand. So a friend of mine basically found it in the bankruptcy filings on Friday. So they filed for bankruptcy, and after doing some more digging and some texting and some calling, the founding story is basically like this founder put $50K of her own personal savings, I think, into the brand to build this thing to do 25 million. Every podcast, every conference, every magazine cover, everything of like, you got to follow exactly how this brand is doing it. They filed for bankruptcy. It turns out the family funded like tens of millions of dollars into trying to make this thing work. And it was just a disaster business the entire time.
Really? So this founding story was that they'd only put in $50,000, but the reality is that they put in tens of millions of dollars to the family that started it.
Correct.
Who is the founder?
Ashley Merrill. And so I just Googled Ashley Merrill, and one of the first links that came up was this swanky Malibu house that was known as their second house when the kids got busy, or the kids wanted to play outside in the summer or something like that. It was just like so textbook.
So the brand is now bankrupt, is that right? Because I just Googled it and said this.
Yeah, filed for bankruptcy. The person who told me about this said what they think will happen, and I don't know how bankruptcy works exactly. Maybe you probably do, but they said like they'll basically get rid of the debts and then somehow continue to operate the business and try to build it out of bankruptcy.
Yeah, bankruptcy can work in one of two ways. You can say, you know what, this business is just a bad business forever, and so we're done with this. And businesses like Toys R Us and Blockbuster are like, we're done with this. Don't ever talk to us again, because there's no reason for this business to exist anymore. And there's others like, what's a good example? Like General Motors that declared bankruptcy some time ago, but they're like, look, we just can't afford this debt. We need to wipe out this debt and figure out a way to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
But it usually wipes out the shareholders. That's interesting that happened. You know, to be honest, look, I don't know I've heard of this business before. I've actually heard that it makes fantastic pajamas.
Yeah,
I've never,
really good.
I've never worn it, so I'm not sure. I will say that, I don't know enough about the founder or enough about the business to be like, she made any like, obviously there were mistakes made, the business went bankrupt, but a lot of businesses are going bankrupt right now because Facebook advertising isn't working, because it's just like the economy isn't as good as it was 2 years ago. And so that's a really tough pill to chew on or to swallow, I guess. And I'm sad to hear that it went bankrupt. It's pretty crazy that the founding story was we put in $50K, although we actually put in $15 million. That is bananas.
Did you see, speaking of bankruptcy, that Bed Bath & Beyond got an offer from Overstock.com for $21.5 million?
I didn't see that. Wow. And that includes no liabilities, or include wipes away all liabilities?
It says it's mainly for the intellectual property. From what I know, I think there's 3 different sales happening. One is for the real estate, maybe. One is for the inventory, and I think one is just the IP, like trying to build this thing back to be a marketplace online.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're buying, is basically the ability to take this and then build a new marketplace online.
What happened to Ty Lopez? I thought he'd be buying the IP.
Dude, that was my first thought too. I was shocked.
Where is he?
This is his type of store.
Is he done? Yeah. I think, well, Overstock, it makes sense for Overstock.com. I felt like Overstock and Bed Bath, or like, it sounds like the way I think about Overstock.com and Bed Bath & Beyond, I would put them in the same bucket of like retailers selling merchandise where, that's a home goods, that's a little bit discounted, all that kind of stuff.
I think at one point, Bed Bath & Beyond also was like the 10th biggest marketplace website in the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Majority of their sales, I think, came e-commerce.
I saw that store like on, on 5th Avenue or 6th Avenue in New York City had like store closing banners up. And it also had like banners that said fixtures for sale.
Come by our cash register.
Yeah, which is sounds hilarious, but believe it or not, when my dad purchased his first couple of gas stations, we were looking for shelving to put in those gas stations, and basically there was a pharmacy called Eckerd, which ended up becoming like CVS. I think it ended up becoming CVS, or was purchased by CVS, that was going out of business, and we bought all of the shelving out of this Eckerd pharmacy that we put in our gas station. Except the Eckerd pharmacy was like I don't know, 18,000 square feet, and our gas station was 2,000 square feet. So we had all of this extra shelf because my dad was like, this is so cheap. They're selling it for 5 cents on the dollar. I'll take all of it.
Yeah. You see the one guy that bought the Fast sign from their office?
Oh, really? No, I didn't see that.
They did the same thing.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Twitter was also selling a bunch of their logos, and like when Elon Musk was like, we don't need all this office space, we don't need all this fancy stuff. They were selling a bunch of amazing products on the internet. My father bought all of the shelving. Like he probably bought 14 sunglass stands for a convenience store that needs one, and so for 15 years we had 13 sunglass shelves that were just collecting dust,
and it was still a good deal.
Yeah, it was still probably a good deal. In fact, when I saw Bed Bath & Beyond closing, and I saw the sign that said shelving for sale, I texted it to my father, and I was like, hey, are you interested in any shelving? And he's like, not anymore, I'm done. Okay, I wanted to talk about another bankruptcy actually as well. Do you have any more information on what happened to these guys? So like, why did they go bankrupt? The family put in tens of millions of dollars. Why did they stop putting it?
No, I haven't yet. I think... I don't know if I can download the docs. I think I can if I pay for it. I'll read through it, and then next episode I'll come back with it.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, there's no posts like on their Instagram account or anything saying,
no
hey,
press either.
We're slow to... Yeah, exactly. Okay, this other brand does have some press. It's called the Pill Club.
No way. Yeah, we worked with them.
Oh, you did work with them? What did you guys do for them?
We were doing helping them acquire customers by whitelisting creators, influencers.
And how did that go?
It went really well. Are they fully shutting down? Because there's some good stuff that they were doing that I could talk about if they're shutting down.
I think it's even worse than that. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened. So the Pill Club is basically, imagine birth control pill delivered. Is that right? Is that what you guys were selling? Birth control pill delivered. Launched in 2016 in California. They had raised more than $100 million, I'm pretty sure. They raised $51 million in 2019 from VMG Partners, $42 million in June 2021, and some money before the $51 million in January 2019. So I'm pretty sure they ended up raising more than $100 million. They were actually charged with Medicaid fraud.
What?
They settled and went bankrupt.
Whoa, wait, can you explain that? What was the fraud?
Yeah, this is an article I read. According to the California Department of Justice, the company billed Medi-Cal, so I guess maybe not Medicaid fraud, Medi-Cal fraud. The company billed Medi-Cal for services it never provided, allegedly submitting claims for 30-minute face-to-face counseling sessions with its nurse practitioners when it didn't have any direct or real-time contact with patients.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So Medi-Cal fraud.
So when we worked with them, I used to think this is in fact, this business is what got me so excited about TrueMed, because I thought, okay, this is amazing. You can basically, so the Pill Club, the way they do it, they advertise, hey, we have free birth control. You need birth control. We're going to send it to you. We're not even going to just send it to you. We're going to send it to you in a box. It's going to have chocolates, lollipops, stickers, whatever, every month on time without fail. And you just give us your insurance and it's free. And basically you would, it was a 2-part funnel. The part one was get somebody to basically become a lead. So somebody comes to the site, says they're interested, submits their information, and then it goes through a verification process. And then if they're approved, then there's a second funnel, which is okay, now they're approved. Now we need to actually get them through the second funnel, which is get them to be a customer. And about 25% of those people who would come through the first would get through the second. And I always thought it was so fascinating because I thought this is the greatest business in the world. You advertise something for free. Let's say it costs, birth control costs $20 to send out. You can charge the insurance company $50 and you basically profit $30. And it's your CAC is so low because you're selling something for free. I always thought it was this magical business, but it sounds like they were just adding things as new line items.
I think that regulatory process is way harder than we imagine, of making sure that, you can get your insurance company to approve and pay for this thing. It's probably easier with the birth control pill, but I also imagine there isn't a huge amount of margin on birth control pill, because I don't think you can go to Medicare or an insurance company and say, give me $50 for birth control, because birth control has been around for so long that it's so generic at this point that I would imagine it's way cheaper. Like with Ozempic, you know how we talked a while ago about Ro rather doing Ozempic prescriptions? I imagine the hoops that Ro or the consumer has to jump through in order to get insurance to pay for Ozempic are numerous and like difficult. Like, I don't think it's just, okay, I signed up for Ozempic. Hey, insurance, come pay Ozempic and give Ro $2,000 a month. I bet it's way harder for Ro to get paid for that kind of stuff. But yeah, these guys were just charging for things that didn't happen. So what happened is they settled with California authorities for $18.3 million. And then the assets of the business were actually sold. So the assets of the pill club were sold. Any idea, any guess as to who bought them? Who would buy the assets of a company selling prescription goods?
Yeah, it would have to be one of the Hims, Hers, Roman, Keeps, one of those.
That's right. It's the third one of those. It's Keeps.
Nice. 30
Madison scooped up the assets, including 100,000 patient files and the IP from the pill club for $32 million.
Wow.
What's a little bit scary is that you can scoop up the assets of a medical company like this that has gone through bankruptcy for $30 million. There's 100,000 patient files, and now, look, I don't know anything. 30 Madison seems like a completely great company, and I have no reason to think that they're not wonderful.
Yeah.
I know that they're HIPAA compliant and they handle medical records already. It just seems a little scary that my patient file could have been with the pill club, although I'm not on birth control personally. And now somebody else scooped it up. That seems a little bit weird to me.
I wonder if there are like certain practices you have to go through to do an acquisition for something that is HIPAA, like considered HIPAA.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not sure about that. But look, these guys, I don't know, they got the IP of the pill club and, 100,000 patient files. If you assume the IP was worth nothing, the 100,000 patient files cost them $320 per patient. That's a large CAC.
But I bet with the entire portfolio they have, they'll probably make it back.
Yeah.
Does 30 Madison, can they manufacture their own pills, or are these businesses mostly like they partner up with a pharmacy, or like they just have to buy it from another pharmacy?
I'm not exactly sure about 30 Madison, but most of these businesses are not, we manufacture our own medicines. Like most of them are like, look, there's some guy manufacturing generic Propecia and generic Viagra at massive scale, right? For CVS and Walgreens and everybody. And so I would imagine they partner with them. If I were starting 30 Madison, or if I was running 30 Madison, I would be like, why would I spend the resources it takes to manufacture millions of pills? Like, how hard that must be.
Yeah,
how careful you have to be about that. I would imagine most of them use like a pharmacy as a service product in order to actually ship you the goods.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm surprised that this didn't receive a lot of press. I thought it was really interesting for two reasons. One, it was a direct-to-consumer company that had raised $100 million that was committing some sort of Medi-Cal fraud. This isn't like hey, I didn't pay sales tax, which is something that everyone sort of unintentionally gets tripped up by a little bit. This is hey, we're billing for things that didn't exist, that didn't happen, like 30 minutes of face-to-face time. So I thought that was really interesting. And then they settled for $18 million and sort of everything was okay. It wasn't I didn't hear of any criminal charges, or I didn't read anything to that effect. It was we settled for this fraud and it's all over. And the other interesting thing was this was a direct-to-consumer company buying another direct-to-consumer company's assets out of bankruptcy for not a nominal amount of money, $30 million, real money.
Yeah,
It's
a good amount of money.
And so I thought, this doesn't happen a lot. This happens once in a while, but I think it is really interesting. And I think this will happen more and more as we see these direct-to-consumer businesses fail. If you're a sleep company, does Jambies want to buy Lunia?
Right.
I'm not sure if it's a good purchase for them or a bad purchase from them. I'd be shocked if they had the cash to spend $30 million, but could they come up with $300,000 to buy Lunia? Is that enough to take over the company? Maybe. And I feel like we might see more and more of this type of consolidation through bankruptcy that we have not seen in the past.
It's similar to how Nestle was buying Vital Proteins and or Gain at the same time. It's they have the factory to make one and might as well just buy up everybody else there, where they can just plug right in and plug in on shelf too.
Yeah, and like for Jambies, they're sort of like, look, we already have customers for this product. We might be able to cross-sell with our email list with Jambies and Lunia. Certainly with 30 Madison and the Pill Club, they can do that. I'm not sure when it'll always make sense, but in certain instances, it seems like it would make a lot of sense. But I do think that we're going to see a lot more of this, and I'm excited to see a lot more of this. Like, this type of consolidation should happen. There have been brands that have been VC funded or possibly, I guess, family funded when it comes to Lunia. So it makes sense that like those businesses that were not operating in a disciplined way go the way of the dinosaur, and people who were more disciplined start picking them up. I saw on Twitter someone saying this. I'm not sure if it was about bed sheets or comforters or mattresses or something in the bedding category. I saw some guy on Twitter being like, when we were running our business, all of these other direct-to-consumer brands seem to be growing so quickly. And we're like, what the fuck are we doing? We don't understand how to run ads. And then like now they're like, we see all these brands suffering and possibly going bankrupt. And we're thinking about buying them. And we realize we were disciplined when they were not.
Yeah, that was Denver Rayburn.
And what category was that? You saw that?
That was betting. Yeah, he has a business called Luma Home, which is like a betting business. And I think like the first 2 or 3 years, he just felt like he was trying to make everything work. And he would see, oh, this agency is the agency to work with. He'd work with them. Oh, nothing happens. Switch agencies. Go, somebody tells him or here's at a conference, he's got to be doing this. He jumps in there, doesn't work. And it was mainly because he was just very disciplined about like, making sure he doesn't overspend or, like when you run your first test on a channel, you don't want to spend $100,000 and 50 of that goes into creative or running a $40,000 photo shoot. And so he was very cautious of that. He's kind of like a bootstrap dude too. His point of view was like, I thought we were basically failing for the first 3 years. Like we weren't hitting these ridiculous numbers that everybody would hit and go talk about. But turns out we were actually just really financially strict about where we would, spend our money and how we would make our money.
Is this website lumasleep.com? Is that what it is?
Lumahome.com.
Luma home.
Looma.
Oh, gotcha.
Their site's not that great, but their product is really, really good.
Okay, you sleep in it?
Yeah, highly recommend.
Nick, you know what I really love about Tapcart is you can constantly update your mobile app to reflect the season or environment that your site is in. So if you're running like a Black Friday sale and you have like a new hero image, super easy to do that in the app. It's not like a static thing where you load it once and it never changes again. You're launching new products, you're doing a July 4th sale, you can update the header really easily. You can update the look of the site to reflect the sale that you're doing. It's Black Friday, you want to make a big splash. You can do that all in the Tapcart app, and they make it really easy for you to be able to update your app without a bunch of like headache and a bunch of getting your CTO involved or something to that effect. It's all self-serve, it's really fast, and I love that about them.
Yeah, the other thing is pairing that with the discovery piece. I feel like one of the biggest things that happens during any sale is actually the lack of awareness about a sale or the lack of discovery by their own customers that a sale is going on. And so using Tapcart to, one, have real estate on somebody's home screen, but also two, have the push notification capability. That plus being able to merchandise your app around a sale, I think creates for a powerful promo experience.
Pretty amazing. And to learn more, go to tapcart.com/limited. Let me switch gears and talk about something else. One is, did you see the Apple Vision Pro get launched? Like,
yeah.
Have you seen that thing? Looks insane.
The more like I went to go to the US Open this past weekend, and as I was there, I know nothing about golf. I'm like, who is this guy? Is he about to hit a field goal? But if I had those, if I had those vision goggles, I'd know everything about the player. And that's when I was like, this could be pretty useful, especially for even thinking about the Apple Vision Pro in school. I think that would be insane.
I cannot wait for it to come out because, like, I travel a bunch and I now own a second monitor that I travel with and can like plug into my...
Did you get that espresso one?
I got some second monitor from Amazon that's like portable, which is super helpful. I would love that Apple Vision Pro, and I'm like, great, I can now look at a 40-inch screen without carrying around a 40-inch screen. I checked into this hotel that I'm at right now, and there was some Indian dude downstairs checking in with a second monitor. Like he had brought a second monitor on the airplane, like it had the American Airlines tag on it, and I was like, only in San Francisco are Like these guys are traveling with second monitors like it's no tomorrow in San Francisco. So I love these guys. I love San Francisco. I love that type of energy. I wonder what type of revolution this will like the Apple Vision Pro will create for things like second monitors. One of the things that they announced during, whatever that Mac meetup was or whatever it's called,
WWDC.
was iOS 17. And I'm not sure if you saw this. iOS 17 automatically removes tracking parameters from links you click on. Basically, they're going to kill the UTM parameter.
Yep. I did see this.
See this?
This was one of the things that I was going to bring up. It's called their private click measurement, which basically what they said is we're going to add this and it's going to enable more privacy-friendly tracking, trying to position it as being friendly to small businesses, but it's not that great. I think you basically get one UTM parameter to go with you. And, before you could have campaign and channel and medium and all these things. And I think now you basically get one.
You get one. Okay. So basically one campaign, one UTM parameter will go with you from someone clicking an ad onto your website. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. I could be completely wrong though. My first thought was, okay, if they're getting mad about the tracking, why not just make individual URLs that then redirect after somebody lands, or redirects in a way where, let's say you click, let's say I'm selling, native. It's like native.com/product/deodorant, $UTM source equals whatever, that whole thing. Instead, if they're only letting me track one thing or not track anything, why not just have like add1.native.com? Somebody goes there. It's like either, the second they get there, then it redirects and it registers on the site of where it came from and allows you to track it back. I'd imagine that's something probably that like Triple Whale is about to come out with to counter this.
Yeah. So the thing I thought about when I read this was this is going to hurt a lot of people's tracking ability when it comes to advertising, obviously. And like, especially Facebook, right? Because like right now on Facebook, like you might use the Facebook ad manager to track sales. And then you probably use UTM parameters to also give you a barometer of like, how are my Facebook ads doing? If all of those UTM parameters are stripped away, you're sort of left to ad manager, which in and of itself is like a little bit less, it's certainly less reliable than it was several years ago. And so it makes things a little bit scary. I didn't understand how this was going to work. Like right now, Facebook, if you click an ad, it opens up a browser inside the Facebook app. That browser is actually powered by Safari. Like if you're inside Facebook, you click an ad and it opens up a browser. You don't leave Facebook, you stay inside Facebook, but that browser is Safari. And like, I think Apple requires you to use their browser, those types of in-app clicks. Does that mean that Facebook won't be able to like control that browser at all, even from a UTM parameter? Does that mean that, Apple will say once, like what used to happen before in like 2015, when I started native, if you clicked an ad on Facebook, it wouldn't open up a browser inside Facebook. It would actually take you to the Safari app and open it up in Safari, open up your ad in Safari, which was way better because what would happen, like it's way harder to go back to the Facebook app than it is right now, where if you open it up inside the Facebook app, you can accidentally go back to Facebook as opposed to staying in the browser and looking at like my ad or like, my creative or like, my landing page. And so I'm not sure how this will work. I'm not sure if like Apple will say no more in-app browsers. I don't think it'll say that. I think it'll be inside Facebook. I thought it was no UTM parameters, in which case I was like, fuck, we're all fucked again. If there's one UTM parameter, you can sort of shove everything in one UTM parameter. You can shove your Facebook campaign name, your ad set, and your creative inside that one UTM parameter and still use it. I think Apple is going to say no UTM parameters. If they're saying one right now, I feel like at some point they will say none.
I'm curious to see how this evolves. Somebody's got to come up with a tool that somehow like hacks this together. There's got to be a way.
It's scary stuff from the part of an advertiser. Like everything Apple does when they're like, here, this is better for privacy for users. Every time they touch it, what I want to make sure is that the advertiser doesn't get UTM parameters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they care that much.
Unless you're Ted Cruz.
Yeah, unless you're Ted Cruz. Anyway, I thought this was really crazy. It doesn't launch until it doesn't happen until iOS 17, and I'm not sure when that's actually being released. It might be next year, frankly, or like with the new iPhone, so in at least several months. But it is something to keep your eye out on. And I'm sure the people at Triple Whale and Northbeam are going to start looking at this.
I wonder when Apple is going to make a bigger push, especially around CPG, for their own ad platform. Because remember we talked about how they were building out their DMP and their DSP. I mean, all of this sort of is pushing the advertisers to be like, okay, well, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I don't know when they'll do that. I'm sure at one point that will happen. Like, I'm not sure that'll happen. Like, I think it will happen. It feels like that's what's happening. They're sort of they're removing the ability of anyone else to do anything, and then they'll own the space. But the reality is also, once somebody asked Tim Cook, what would you do if you were Mark Zuckerberg and like you kept doing this, like, that you kept losing the ability to track people and monetize them? And he's like, I would never be in his position. I wouldn't run a business that was run based on like ads. And like even today, Apple famously does not spend $1 on advertising on Facebook or Instagram, and yet they're the number one advertiser. They're one of the top 5 advertisers, I think, on Twitter.
Yeah, I get their Twitter ads a lot, and TikTok.
Yeah, it's surprising to they're like, we will only advertise on Twitter. We will not advertise on Facebook or Instagram. I read that once in the Wall Street Journal, and I was pretty surprised to hear that.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, I got something.
Okay,
I'll let you choose. One person on Twitter asked if we could talk about the ideal marketing org that we've seen at different companies for a brand between 25 and 50 million. So that's one idea. One person asked us to talk about the conferences that we enjoy going to and why. And I also have a couple of notes on how I try to get the most out of a conference. And then the third one is how to use ChatGPT to build a short form content to paid media flywheel.
Let's do number 1. Number 2, I'll give a short answer, which is my short answer for number 2, which is like, what conferences do you enjoy? I rarely enjoy the content at conferences. I always enjoy the conversations I have with the founders off stage. It's almost like, I hear all on like when I watch Meet the Press or on these Sunday news talk shows, they're like, look, if you talk to Republicans or Democrats when they're not on C-SPAN and they're not questioning the defense secretary, they'll be like, we think that they're doing a wonderful job. When they're in front of the camera, they always say something entirely different. And so you don't want that. Like, there was this great, in Barack Obama's biography, he's like, or autobiography, he's like Bobby Jindal, who was the governor of Louisiana, this Indian guy. He's like, he would always be really nice and ask for help. And then he'd go in front of cameras and be like, fuck Barack Obama. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And I feel like that's often what happens at conferences. So anyway, that's my short answer for number 2. Tell me about number 1. What do you think about marketing works?
Okay. So for number 1, I broke it down into 3 buckets. So basically like 0 to 5, 5 to 25, and 25 to 50. Okay. With 0 to 5, I think you basically need max 2 people. You need somebody who's strong on the brand side, and you actually probably don't even need 2. You could do this with just 1. You have somebody who's strong on the brand side, oversees everything from press releases, influencer, seeding, building relationships with creators, relationships with editors, packaging, design. And then you have a kind of a generalist, but more like a Swiss Army knife, head of growth type person who really is pulling the strings to the different puppets, the puppets being your paid media agency, where you're getting creative from, who's controlling, how's your site getting better, site development, and email. And I think those 2 will get you to the first 5.
Yeah, I think first 5 is 1 or 2 people as well. And I think it's like, I think it's probably at a time where you're testing a bunch of marketing channels. And so you don't need, like, you're trying to find out where you're going to put your chips in, right? Like when you're 0 to 5, it's like walking into a casino. You're not sure what game you're going to play. Are you going to play the Facebook game, the Google game, the TikTok game, the YouTube game? And so you may want to put a little bit of chips everywhere to find out what you're good at before you start putting more chips in and being like, actually, I'm pretty good at blackjack, so let me go do that.
Totally. Then the 5 to 25, I think you keep the brand person. I think the head of growth person actually splits into 2 roles, and the specific person probably goes more toward becoming a performance marketer. I think you can add an e-commerce manager, somebody who oversees everything on the site, product launches, merchandising, optimization, etc. And then somebody for content and social media. So basically 4 people.
And this is 5 to 25?
5 to 25.
I would go from 0 to 5. I would actually make that range probably 0 to 12 and put this range like somewhere around 12 to 25. Like if
Yeah, I
you're
was thinking
$10
like
million,
15.
yeah, if you're $10 million, you do not need 4 people. If you're $20 million, I can see where you're like, hey, we need to start expanding our marketing team. We probably need someone looking at emails consistently and helping us create emails. We probably need someone, or maybe an e-commerce manager. We probably need a performance marketer because we're at that casino and we realize we're really good at the game. We can put more chips down on the table for one thing. So yeah, I would agree with that. I would just move the barometer or like move the range up a little bit.
Cool. Then on the 25 to 50, at that stage of a company, I would imagine that, there's some probably institutional capital. And so you'll probably need maybe a VP of marketing or an SVP, probably mainly for optics, less of like actually doing the work. Then I think you have, you still have your performance marketer. You still have your brand marketer. I think you can add somebody for retention, basically retention, customer experience. And then I think you should actually try to bring in-house like a couple of video editors, because I think one of the costliest things as you're scaling is probably creative production and paying for content. And I think the more you can find, the flips of the switches where the agency fees become better spent internally versus externally, which is usually starts to happen around this stage, then the more, the better savings you have. But also you should still keep some of the other stuff farmed out. Like there's a few things I think you don't need to bring in at that stage, whether it's PR or website development or, UI design, things of that nature that are less frequent, still important. But, somebody like a video editor, you could be using them every day, all day. They're never going to have nothing to do.
I think the hard part is you got to think about how you're marketing. And today you're probably right. It's a lot of video editing and you need to bring that in-house. Back in like 2017, there were a lot of people doing podcast ads and making their businesses huge as a result of that. Like I think MeUndies grew on podcast ads. I remember I talked to the founder of Movement Watches back in the 5 years ago, and he's like, "We're putting a big bet into podcast ads." And so I think in those instances, you might not be like, "I need a couple video editors." I think that's the hard part with this question, which is wherever you've sat down at that casino, you need to build your marketing team for that and not anything else. And some people Mini Katana, he needs 10 video editors and
Right.
0 performance marketers. And Jones Road Beauty probably needs 4 video editors and 4 performance marketers. And so I do think that there is like a little bit of variance depending on where you've sat down at the casino.
Yeah, I fully agree, actually. I think, like if you're a Hintwater too, you might be adding like e-retail, head of e-retail, different analysts for that. So yeah, I fully agree. I guess the tough to answer for this guy on Twitter, but somewhere around this is probably right.
Yeah. I think that's the best generic answer you're going to get without being like, this is the business. I spent 70% on YouTube ads, 10% on TikTok, 10% on something else. And then you can craft a better answer for that. Okay. I wanted to chat about one of what I think is the best private equity acquisitions in the direct-to-consumer industry, and that is Stamps.com. Stamps.com was actually purchased about 2 years ago by a private equity firm called Thoma Bravo. They purchased it for $6.6 billion. I remember this happening because Stampar and I had just talked about Stamps.com, and I was like, I think Stamps.com is super undervalued, and the stock went up like 40% a couple days later, and I remember being like, oh, Sam, see, look, we were right about this. Now we can't buy the stock. And then it went up like 100% again when this private equity firm took over the company. And the reason was it was charging so little for its SaaS software that it made sense for a private equity acquisition. Like, you could be Athletic Greens and shipping out hundreds of millions of dollars of product through ShipStation. And I'm not saying Athletic Greens is. I've got no idea that they are. But you could be doing that through ShipStation and be paying like $30 a month. Like it was so cheap. Native used ShipStation for a really long time. And we probably paid $200 a month and we were doing $70 million a year. And we were paying, like it was, like Klaviyo sort of goes up naturally with more emails that you send. Help Scout, Gorgeous, everybody starts charging more the bigger you get. Triple Whale does the same thing. ShipStation really didn't do that in a way that was really pleasant. They are now, like these private equity guys are now insane. Whatever was beautiful about ShipStation and Stamps.com is sort of like Yeah, exactly. They've taken a knife to, they have not made the experience where you're like,
They Vista partnered it.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they did. Where you're like, oh, you shipped out one more package than we agreed to. We're going to call you up and kill you. You're just like, fuck. And they've done a good job of consolidating the space. They own stamps.com, which, helps you buy USPS labels. They own ShipStation. They own Shipping Easy. Any software that comes out that helps manage this shipping category, they are the owners. And if you call them up and you're like, hey, I'm interested in this software, they're like, what else are you considering? And you're like, I was considering Shipping Easy. They're like, well, that's our software too. So we're going to fuck. Thank you for telling us that we can fuck you. There's a big green light that says, yes, please fuck Moiz right here. And we're going to do that now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a great acquisition. From a business perspective, I think they're probably going to make a fortune from this.
Yeah.
Less whatever is happening in the direct-to-consumer industry that's killing direct-to-consumer businesses. From a consumer perspective or a customer perspective, I hate this.
That's how you know it's a good private equity deal.
Sean and Ridge posted this. He saw native deodorant. He posted this on Twitter. He saw native deodorant for sale for like $18 at CVS or something. Mm-hmm. And he's like, would you buy this for $18? And I was like, no. Like, there's a point where I'm like, I'm not ready to do business with somebody because I feel icky working with them. At $18 for deodorant, I think I would feel that way. And native is at $18 in most places. It just was at some CVS or Walgreens. And I would say I wouldn't buy it from that location.
Right.
At some point, other software businesses, I'm like, I can't do business with you because I feel gross doing business with you. ShipStation isn't there yet, but I think it could easily get there for me.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Okay. There's two other things I'd like to chat about. Let me give them to you really quickly. There's this company called Bazooka Gum and Push Pops. Yeah, this is some guy owns Bazooka Gum and Push Pops. It's Tops, actually. I think the company sold Tops already for $500 million, which was the playing card company. They sold it to Fanatics, I'm pretty sure. They bought Bazooka Gum and Push Pops for $385 million. They're trying to sell them now. In 2007, they're trying to sell the business now for $700 million. Wow. I read this article. I thought it was interesting. There's 40 million Push Pops sold annually. And I thought that was...
They own Ring Pop, too.
Yes, they own Ring Pop as well. Do you know Push Pops? Crazy. You know Push Pops?
Yeah. I've never had one, but I've seen them.
Yeah, it's too young for you. In my generation, we were all eating Push Pops and Ring Pops all the time. I proposed to women with Ring Pops. Make shivs out of Push Pops at school. One other business idea that I think might work, and I'm curious to hear your opinion about this, and it's basically a refillery. And the reason that I imagine that next to any Whole Foods, someone should open up a shop. If Whole Foods is in a strip mall or in some sort of mall, you should open up a shop and you should be like, look, you can come and fill up your shampoo and soap and conditioner and laundry detergent bottles here. We don't use any plastic and it'll be cheaper than going elsewhere. So basically, I've got a huge vat. I've got 500 gallons of liquid laundry detergent. You come over here and fill up your laundry detergent jug, your SUV of laundry detergents with my product. And you don't have to we save plastic, which is great for the environment. And I give you a deal because you're bringing your own component. I'm selling it a 500 gallon jug, and I'm next to Whole Foods. So you probably care about this already.
That's a great idea.
These businesses do exist. I went to one in Los Angeles. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was I was like, look, you guys are. I had to drive an hour to get to it. And I was like, this is fucking. Why did you guys put it in the middle of nowhere? Why did
you should have yelled at them about all the emissions that you put out in the earth just to get there to refill.
Everywhere where there's an Air One, there should be one of these. Like, imagine, and look, I think it could be even like a fun thing where you're like, when we're kids, you'd go to the soda pop machines and you're like, I want a little bit of Fanta, a little bit of Pepsi, a little bit of Sprite, all mixed in. Imagine you could mix your own scent in. Here's laundry detergent.
That would be
add
dope.
These essential oils, make your own scent. We charge you based on the volume of ounces you've got of laundry detergent. Hand soap, same thing. Bring in your hand soap glass jars. Refill them over here. It'll be really fun, a great experience. Can be a date.
Have you done any math on this? Any idea what the margins could be?
I have not done any math on this. That is a great question.
My first thought is you would have to compete with the P&G level of margins. To get that Walmart customer or that Costco customer to come here, which is really probably how you hit the scale, you would have to compete with the the Tides of the world.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not sure if you could compete with those guys. I think there's a little bit of benefit because you don't have the plastic part of it. So hopefully that saves you money. And you have far fewer SKUs.
You don't have to ship it.
And you don't have to ship it. I think the hard part is that you're right. It's probably a niche customer. And I'm not sure if it fits. Like, I don't think it fits next to every Albertsons or Kroger or even Costco, because I think those customers may be more price conscious. I think it definitely fits next to every Erewhon and possibly every Whole Foods.
Somebody should make this like almost like a vending machine type dispenser outside of Erewhon and just test it, see if it works.
Yeah, that would be even better because you could reduce all that labor. Like, bring in your bottle, tell us how many ounces it is, put it under here, hit what scent you want, we mix it up. Like, you know, in San Francisco, they have that Cafe X, which is like a machine.
Coffee.
Like the hand goes like this to wave to you.
Yeah.
Like that for refilling your soap supplies. I wonder if that
would be cool.
I think that's a great idea. I would love to consume less plastic, and that's a way that I would do it. I tried to do it in LA. I traveled an hour and a half to fill up these bottles.
Wow. You went all the way?
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea. I wanted to conserve plastic, and I was like, let me see what this is like and whether this is a good business. And I think it can be a good business for the right person to put in the right spot, to make it exciting, to make it beautiful, to make it Instagram worthy. To when you walk in, you're like, this is how much plastic I save. This is how much plastic I save per year. So you get shampoo and conditioner and hand soap and, deodorant and laundry detergent and floor cleaner and multi-purpose cleaner. It's almost like Blue Land meets like a brick retail store.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's a business idea. I'm not sure if it has any legs. I like the idea, though. I have no idea if it would work. I wish it did exist in a way that was successful. I wish Whole Foods would actually put it, like Whole Foods sells nuts.
Yeah, they should just put it in there.
Yeah, Whole Foods should create their own fountain drink machine for filling up your laundry detergent.
Agreed.
Okay, I think that's a wrap for, this is episode 10. So we don't have a lot left in this season. I'm excited to answer that. I'm excited to get your opinion on your favorite types of events on our next podcast.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss the next one.